All right, well, I'll call the meeting to order, 7:31, and roll call, Marjorie Winters, we have Charlie Haldeman, who will be serving for the vacancy, Joe Campanita, Jim Morrison, and John Eaton. All right, and Tom Hazel is here as an agent. And new business, we have none. We have no old business. General commission business is the approval of minutes from June 15th, regular meeting. Do we have any changes or additions to the minutes? And hearing none, would someone like to move to accept the minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second.
Go second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So that's it. And agent actions, I see there are none. Any changes to that, Tom?
We got Jason coming in. He might have gotten his internet back, so let's give him a second to get in here. But no agent actions as of right now. It's actually been a very quiet summer considering the whole COVID pool problems that we had. But there might be a couple things coming. But I think there's someone talking about a deck that's like 98 feet away from the wetlands. So I think that at the worst, that's about the only thing I'll have moving forward at this point.
And so the real item for tonight is the conservation business referral for Meadowwood re-subdivision for open space acquisitions. And Tom, walk us through that.
Do you want me to? I'll speak to it. So with Meadowwood, when we went through and did the referendum and we did all that, it comes with state grant funding, and those grant funds are tied to certain aspects of use. And so while this was a residential subdivision from River Bend / Colebro / whatever they've been over the years, the re-subdivision is based on the allocation of grants. We have to subdivide for open space, farmland preservation. There's envelopes for farm building preservation. So the barns basically get their own little envelope in order to work on those and have activity there to preserve those barns. And then there's also some deep easements. Some DEP gets a little bit of easement access as well as a little bit of parcel pieces. Because we abut state property, I'm sure a lot of that has to do more with easements than it does with direct giving land to the state, but they wanted a little piece of the action as well. And then there'll be 2 parcels that the town will have that they have a little more development rights to, meaning passive recreation type things, soccer fields and the such. Parks and Recreation has given some preliminary proposals for some uses, but nothing concrete. So in order for those grant funds to be allocated to us to buy the property from Riverbend, we need to re-subdivide it according to the money allocations. And that's basically what the plans are showing. And what the Planning Commission is looking for is for a referral from the Conservation Commission as per state statute. It can be positive, it can be negative, or it can be no referral, or no referral is a positive referral. So I'm sure after all the work that we've done to get the referendum and to acquire this parcel, I would assume that we're going in the right direction, not the down direction. So I leave it up to the commission to make their decision about how they want to, but we're just looking for a verbal vote to have a positive referral to the Planning Commission as they held their public hearing to re-subdivide.
Okay.
Any discussion among the commissioners? Have any comments?
I was just thinking about I was wondering about the deep easements. What are those and what does it mean?
The state wants to, I mean, if it's an easement, it's for them to have separate access. I mean, there's already CLMP or Eversource easements over the Hoskins County road area because you have the main transmission lines coming through there. It's for access, and they might actually, I mean, I'll give you, I wasn't part and parcel to all the planning of this, but they might also be acquiring some of the property just to preserve it and make sure that they have a handle on it and can do any kind of work, meaning like if it's a sensitive area that they feel needed to be conserved, the state's giving us the money. So they might have said, we want 4 acres over here because this area is very important to our research and what we're doing. DEP in the state has no development rights. They can't build on it. They can't go put some kind of state highway garage or anything on it. It's all preserved lands on their end of it.
So
But
is it just a conservation easement?
pretty much, yeah. It's looking as that, but DEP will be ownership and have the ability to manage it. So if they want to do ground meadow birds, or if they feel that it's an area where they want to do some IPM and test on invasives, they'll have some rights over some of the property. But from what I remember from the plan set, their acreage is nominal. I mean, I think they're under 10 acres or 20 acres out of the whole 100 and some odd acres of property that we're acquiring. I don't have the plans in front of me, unfortunately, because of the internet.
Well, I'm looking at the plans here in lot 1. They're practically, it's 45 acres and they're basically 42.76 acres.
Well, that might be their big take.
Lot 4,
That's the one that's
well,
down.
lot 4, it's 94 acres. And then it says they're getting 85, so they're getting most
I don't
of
think they're
lot
getting
1 and lot 4.
I don't know if they were getting that much. I didn't think they were getting that much. Hold on, let me take a look here.
That was on page,
Yeah, I'm
the
rolling
third
over.
page.
Yep, I'm rolling over to it right now. Let me take a look. They're spending a lot of money, so maybe they wanted more than I remember.
Can you share that with us?
I can try. I'm looking it up on the web page, so I'm not sure because I can't access my desktop and talk to you at the same time, unfortunately. So you said lot 1 and lot 4, so that's
Lot
page
4, yeah.
So that was page.
3 is the proposed stuff.
Yep.
Right.
3 1.8 proposed area includes DEP 42. Oh, you're right. They are taking a lot more than I had recalled. Sorry about that. I don't mean to misinform at all. DEP is taking 85. So yeah, they're taking a good like 120 out of the whole thing. And that is lot 4 and lot 1. So
And lot 1 is off by itself, right? Over.
yeah, I think that's on the opposite.
Firetown.
Yeah, it's the one over on the other side of Firetown. And if I recall correctly, I think that abuts something on theirs.
And lot 4 is basically the rest of it, other than the farmland. It's like most of it, it's probably wooded.
Yeah,
It's hard to tell because I was confused because when I got this, it was all, it looks like it had all the imaginary roads and what Meadowwood was going to be, and I'm like, what am I doing? Why is this? It's confusing.
Yeah, the south of Firetown, we're trying to preserve those barns. They have the tied to Martin Luther King's time working in town. And I think because that is a open field, they don't have the property necessary. They have the property to the south, the state of Connecticut. So they're tying on to that. So basically what we do is we spend money on preserving the barns. They tie to the land that they are owning already. And so it kind of takes a maintenance lift off of us, I would say, and it's going to be preserved. They're obviously not developing it. The state doesn't do that. But and then the other one was where was that? Lot 1?
Lot 4.
Lot 4.
I'm trying to dig that up right now.
It's kind of in the middle.
Yeah, my computer's a little bit slow, so bear with me for a second. All right, come on. I'll take a look at that one. Lot 4, which is page 5, I think. 6. Lot 4. Try to get my orientation. Bear with me for a second, please. I gotta zoom back out here. Okay, here's lot 4. That's kind of in the middle, huh? That is kind of.
It's right in the middle.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Like
Yeah.
it surrounds Clifton and
hmm
Because we own over by the triangle, and then that's to the left, the right of that, or to the east of it, it seems. Oh my god, this computer's so choppy, it's bouncing all over.
And the deep easement isn't the entire lot. It's like
No. And
90% of the lot.
yeah, and with that, because there's that barn smack in the middle, and I know one of these has a water tower in it. I think that's lot 4 has the water tower in it, so we got to maintain some access to that for the water company.
that is the village water company. It's
Yeah, and I
Simsbury.
think they're probably going to grab around that in order to preserve around that. Let's see, there's 86 out of 94. Yeah, because we've got the abutment to the west, and then we'll be owning the land to the east. So I have a feeling that what they're doing is preserving around that water tower, and we're going to give them the rights to maintain that. It'll probably end up just becoming a wooded area with the village water access in order to maintain their tower, and then it preserves the aquifer, so the town can never change rights on it. It might be some of the reasons for that. But this will be all discussed in the public hearing tomorrow, or no, not tomorrow, next week, I believe is planning in a little more detail. But DEP, yeah, while they're taking a chunk, I think it's a major preservation move. Obviously, like I said, they're not developing anything. If anything, they're managing. Let me put myself back on Zoom.
So that will be brought out in the meeting. That
Yeah, there's a full public hearing. If you haven't seen the posted signs out there, there's 5 signs posted around County, Hoskins, and Firetown. I get calls every day about it.
Yep.
But with this, we are getting heavy funding from the state, so I'm not surprised that there's several heavy-handed grabs. But it leaves us from a maintenance standpoint. I think that actually helps the town from a tax base and taxpayer standpoint that they manage those areas. And I know that with the Great Pond area, they are doing some timber harvest and stuff like that, but they tend to be more of a maintenance issue than it is a development when it's in the
I think
state.
that maintenance issue.
Well,
is a good
yeah,
one.
it's not really maintenance at Great Pond. I mean, it's really harvesting.
Yeah, and they're going to be removing another dead patch of oaks because of the gypsy moss that got in there and killed them all off. So if there's activity over there, that's why you're going to be seeing that.
Over at Great Pond.
Yeah, they got a patch, not a large patch. It's a small swath using the same access road that they've been doing, and then I think they're out of there after that.
I know when I went on the tour of the property with the Trust for Public Land, I was a little bit surprised when they were saying that perhaps the Simsbury Land Trust could help with the maintenance, and they're like,
State
so
doesn't want to give up rights.
DEEP is going to be involved.
Yeah, I've got a lot of state land around me, and they did a lot of clearing in order to do hickory reestablishment, and yeah, it was a hickory reestablishment plot. So, the forestry division will do some management. There's no set plans for around Great Pond. Most of this was farm and agricultural lands. And I know that they're still trying to offset Bradley International Airport meadow bird species. They still have that issue in play. But they obviously aren't going to tell us what they want to do. But in the grand scheme of things, if we're taking only 1/3 of the tab and they're taking the other 2/3, there's some give and take there.
When they do the management, I know if they have the rights to the land, do they ever come back to the Conservation Commission or no?
No, state trumps local, and federal trumps state.
Not
As
one of
I've
those, but it's not one of those, we'll ask you your opinion, but we'll do what we want.
normally, no, we always get notifications. We got a forestry notification on that slight timber harvest. It did come in very recently. I didn't have time to add it to the agenda. That's why I brought it up verbally, but I'll put it on for the next correspondence. But they do communicate. They know that this is land within the town, and they know that there's a lot of eyes and ears, so they always keep us in the loop. They do ask if we have any questions or if we need public input or anything, and they can reach out to the commissions. And if we ever see a notification like that, we could ask for more details or give feedback. Doesn't mean they're going to take our feedback. Just like the siting council, you could always request things to the siting council. They'll review it, but they don't always take action.
But theoretically, the
Yeah.
Conservation Commission in future could have some.
Yeah, we'll have say on it. And I think that's why we have these management envelopes, because they don't want the structures. So we get the structures, and they tend to take the land around it. But what we have is what we have main access to, and that connects to our properties. So with the farmland preservation over in the Hoskins triangle, I believe there's a swath over there where we might be able to up our ag leases and preserve farmland. And allow it to continue to stay good prime farm soils, keep it in action. And then the other stuff abuts our already owned ag leases by the triangle. So it can be expanded there. And then, like I said, there's a minimal amount that we have. There's I believe it's 2 plots that are up for town use. I won't say development because we're not going to build houses or apartments or anything like that. It's just town use, passive recreation, most likely, because it's not large enough for any kind of active recreation development.
Is that the lot? Where is it? Lot 2 and 3 up next to Stephen Antonio.
Probably. Do you know
small-
what
the
page,
small
page
thing.
that's on? Is that on page 4?
Page 4, yes, I believe.
Okay. Yep, farmland preservation area.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. It says, or page 7 shows
Okay.
it the most clear.
All right, I'll take a look at that. And see
Lot 2 and 3.
Yes, because they're small and parsed out a little bit. 2 area, yeah, open space. Lot 3 is probably the developable one because that's 1.8 and it's not listed. The proposed open space area is the 2.7, and lot 4 is the big one. Yeah, they're. Oh, okay. Let's see. Is it? Hold on. Excuse me for a minute. I'm just zooming in so I can actually read something. Maryland Milken. And the one against Holcomb looks like that's an odd one.
Because didn't the town do a little land swap with Antonio's?
We did. It might be listed on here. I didn't think it was part of the acquisition. We did do a small land swap in order to continue the bike path up to Curtis Park and head towards Terrafil.
Yeah, that wasn't associated with this.
I don't believe so.
No, it wasn't. I'm just curious. But these are the 2 and 3 are not part of it. Lot 2 and lot 3, they're not part of that swap deal.
No, I don't believe so. No, it shouldn't be part of the plan set. That was a separate issue. But the only thing I've seen is the largest parcel that we had for proposed passive recreation. I think they were able to fit 4 soccer fields on it. So what we have for that is the smallest aspect of the whole Meadowwood acquisition. Our largest part is the the farmland preservation parcel and the open space parcels that we have. And then DEP has basically the rest of it.
So lot 6 would not be soccer fields. The soccer fields would be up in lot 2.
I am trying to follow here as best I can, so bear with me.
Sure, no problem.
Let's see. There's lot 2. It's going to depend on some access and lot. Yeah, they're the smallest areas. Let me just go to the hack sheet that shows.
Isn't there a vernal pool up in lot 2?
I'm not aware that. I'm not as familiar with this as you may be for that. If there is, it's going to come into extreme preservation from us. That's for sure. That gets a lot of oversight.
Or maybe it's not there. It's at the end of the triangle.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So proposed lot 3, the 1.88 acres, and lot 6 of 24 acres. So lot 6 and lot 3 are the two that are not set aside as open space, DEP, or farmland preservation. So the town has one little tiny 1.88 acre piece, and then we have a 24 acre piece that could be turned into a recreation use if we feel the need to expand for any reason. But again, it's not development. We're not putting any, the restrictions on the grants are for basic recreation. And then we're getting 118 acres of farmland on one, and then another 2.7. Oh no, that's open space. It looks like we're getting about 118 acres of farmland. And then everything else is open space, upwards of about 100 acres of open space. Oh, even more than that, almost 150. And that's partially the town, partially DEP. So thinking of 150 acres of open space, we'll be managing just a portion of that.
Okay.
All in all, we're getting a large amount of land preserved between the state and between the town, and we get preservation rights to historical landmarks of the barns.
Tom, has the town come up with an estimate for maintenance costs?
Not to my knowledge at this point. If they have a working table on that, that would probably come out during the public hearing. But from my understanding, for maintenance, we're already brush hogging fields once a year in the area. I haven't seen a management plan, and the open space committee will be meeting tomorrow, I believe.
Wow.
So there'll be, I'm sure, some discussion working forward with that. We do have some open space land acquisition documents that we've been working on, and this is included in that as far as trying to make master plans for these parcels that we do own. Because as we know, we're limited in muscle through Parks and Rec and DPW, but we need to have some kind of, management plan and equipment to do it. That's the biggest problem most towns have. I acquired over the old golf course in Windsor, and coming up with the management plan there was one of the toughest things because DPW just didn't have the resources, the manpower, or the equipment. So they had to kind of get a forward-looking plan to acquire the equipment and have the seasonal help to order to maintain it. But that'll be something moving forward, and I have not heard a cost estimate on that.
Okay. Are we going to get an opportunity to comment on the like the final easement language and master plan?
I think from as far as the public hearing for the re-subdivision, there's always a ability to have public comment. For us as a commission, no, they're just saying, are we okay with the way that we're getting our funding and that we're getting the funding for preservation that looks appropriate? When it comes down to direct language of any easement, any access issues or maintenance, that might get reviewed deeper in the planning re-subdivision if there are any easements, cross easements, any access issues. And then when it comes to a management plan, that's going to be through the open space committee most likely. And there may be at some point, because what they propose goes to the board of selectmen, there'll be able to be public comment on management practices and what the overall master plan
But we
is.
should be able to bring it back from the open space to the conservation commission for input. Before
Yes, we can. It certainly can get kicked back for a review. I think from the open space commission aspect, it's a very broad, big picture. When it comes to like the detailed management, you got a lot of moving parts between Parks and Rec and DPW. They're going to have input on that. And we're so early in this of just getting the funding in place. And that's what this re-subdivision is for, is to get the funding from the state to buy it, that the master management plan is going to need some outside consultation in order to probably dictate how to manage those.
I just want to make sure. It seems like a pretty bare bones plan at this point.
Oh,
Yeah, I just want to make sure that the commission stays involved.
Oh, yeah.
And that if we're endorsing the plan as is, that we're not, nobody understands us to be endorsing like the.
No, we're just endorsing
Or
this.
the-
Yeah,
the
we're just
plan.
endorsing the re-subdivision to get the grant funding. That's all
Mhm.
we are at this point. I think from the broader picture moving forward as we get into it through time, I think the farmland preservation is pretty straightforward. We want to preserve farmland. We'd like to continue to be able to lease it as farmland so that it stays farmland. And then our open space is where our issue is going to be. The structures are in an envelope. Obviously, that's pretty straightforward. We're going to want to maintain to the best of our ability. We might have to have some structural work done on them in order to maintain them. And then DEP, we get notification and we can make comment. But I think the biggest planning aspect of it for maintenance would be open space, which isn't a huge
Mhm.
amount. And then when it comes to Parks and Rec and where we have developable land, that'll most likely come before us as well, because we'll take a look at it and make comment, because they're going to need to go through review of multiple boards on that. I don't think that'd be an issue.
No, I thought for the funding, I thought we were pointing out the third, and that land trust was pointing out the third, but the state is actually applying.
The Trust for Public Land is just a facilitator.
Right.
They get donations for us, so they've raised money. They're not directly paying for anything. We hire them basically as consultants to work through the whole grant process and to raise money, private funds to help us acquire it.
Okay.
So the town is ponying up their part. They worked with the state to get us the major chunk, and then they also got some private funds and donations in order to help ease the town's payment.
Okay. So the majority, the land trust people just facilitated getting a grant from the state.
Yeah, the Trust for Public Land, as soon as everything's signed and all the deeds are deeded over and the re-subdivision's done, they move on to their next project.
Okay.
And as for the management of the agricultural land, I know the Open Space Committee is looking at slowly looking at redoing the agricultural lease and best management practices that the town's going to require for leasing of farmland. I think that's in our. I don't know if that's in our package.
It's not in our next packet. I was surprised that it wasn't there because
Yeah,
we didn't have this. We didn't have the subcommittee meeting.
Yeah, so we'll put that in. Hopefully something will happen tomorrow. It's been moving very slowly, but and then also looking at how meadow management is another thing, because not in this particular spot we will have meadows managed. So trying to figure out what's the best time to mow and what's the goal. Trying to identify what the goal is for various properties. So,
I think a good litmus test for this property with any open space that we have or farmland that we have is the talks that we're going to start with the Open Space Committee about what to do with the triangle that we pay to have mowed. That's good agricultural lands that should be being farmed, and how to put the buffers between the public, the residential areas and the farmlands. And I think that'll be a good litmus test for moving forward with some of the properties that we're acquiring.
Are the Marjorie, are the metals issues that arsenic related to pesticides?
Oh, meadow, not metal. Grassland.
Yeah.
Okay.
So whether to mow in the fall, whether to mow in the spring.
Yeah.
Do you want to support the pollinators? Do you want grasses for the birds? So those sort of.
And I, from all the reports I've seen about these properties, I don't think we're inheriting anything toxic. So I think we're in good shape with this.
Well, not as far as metals. All the
Tobacco.
on that stuff for over the years, it's not exactly good, but whatever.
They did do some remediation eventually. So, yeah. So all right.
Well, back in the day when they had old torpedo World War II torpedo bombers crop dusting all that stuff. I mean, they're probably spraying DDT all over it, but it is what it is.
Well, they did have chlordane, high concentrations of chlordane and some dieldrin, but those were the ones that they had to clean up. They had them around the posts for the old tobacco posts for the shade tobacco.
Well, if luckily it's just not going to be hundreds and hundreds of houses putting more pesticides down on their lawns.
That's right. That's right. So it'll improve. And if you can improve the soil, because I know the soils there, sort of heavily mined, shall we say, by the tobacco is a very hungry crop.
Mhm.
And so they need to get the organic matter up there. And that
Right.
is contamination. All right. Does anyone have any more questions about it? I mean, right now we're just doing the re-subdivision or re-division.
Re-subdivision,
Re-subdivision,
and
um,
making,
So we're looking for a positive referral. So why don't we take a vote? Would someone like to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion that conservation make a positive referral to planning for the re-subdivision.
I'll second it.
Right, thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
And Don and Jason?
I'm aye.
Okay, good. All right. So, and Tom, you will write a letter and,
I'll send a memorandum over to the planning commission for their meeting of a positive referral from the conservation commission
Great.
on the re-subdivision.
Good. And speaking of management, Connecticut Forests and Parks, I think in association with DEE or UConn, has come up with a Master Woodland Manager program. This is a first. They used to do what they call the Coverts program, where you go spend 3 days up in the woods and learn about forest management. But this is a new one. It's a full year program. I mean, just little virtual modules and some programs where you actually go and do hands-on things. You still do the coverts portion, but so if anyone's interested in that, I can send you that. I've signed up for it. And it looks like a very interesting program, and it looks like something that would benefit us. And I was and Tom, I know we've mentioned this before. We need to have elections at some point.
I'll double check the bylaws. I thought we were in January, but I'll double check everything. I know with
I
COVID,
thought it was September.
September.
it could be September. Okay,
All
if
right,
it's September,
so
I'm gonna
we-
write that.
on the-
I'll take it.
I want to make sure that gets on the docket this year. We're completely out of sync.
Oh, totally, because COVID was a nightmare.
Yeah,
So election September,
Yeah,
check. All right.
We
I
were
will-
out of sync before that.
not just COVID.
No, so you better get that on. I feel really badly about that.
I haven't been there. I haven't been here that long, so
No.
I'm going to blame it on COVID.
That's all right. So, as long as we get it on for September.
Okay,
All
I'll make
right.
sure of that.
All right, good. Does anyone else have anything that they wanted to bring up?
Margie, what was the name of that program you were talking about?
It's called the Master Woodland Manager Program. I can send you a link to it.
If you could, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, if you could send it to me as well, Marjorie, I'd be interested in taking a look.
I'll tell you what, I'll send it to everybody.
That's easy.
All right.
too.
All right.
Mhm.
All right. But yes, I signed up and I was first one. And I was delighted to know that this is the first year that they're doing it, because I knew about the Coverts project, but I didn't know that this was a whole brand new. They had received grant funding, so some interesting topics. All right,
Good.
all right. Unless we have anything else, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, I mean, so moved.
All right,
Second.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, all right.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Have a
you.
good week.
Right.
Good night.